Ah, my good and dear friends. This is Londo Molare, and I'm watching the Bad News Bards on Tennessee Tabletop Tavern. Have I ever told you you're very cute for a Mambare?
Oh, hey.
Hi. I wasn't expecting that.
Hello, Dan. I mean, Dan.
What's up, buddy?
I guess I should add Cam. I don't know why Cam isn't in here. What the?
Did he disconnect?
Restream? No, I don't think he did. There he
Cam,
is.
Oh, hi.
what's up, buddy? Wasn't expecting that one.
No, I wasn't either. Did you get disconnected or something, Cam?
It did pop out for a minute, and then it
No,
came
that
back
one.
and it was giving me weird feedback or weird echoes and stuff. So
Yeah.
seems okay now.
Yeah, I like it better that way. All right. That was weird. Are we overlapping? Hearing overlapping sound.
I
No.
like the sci-fi-ified intro. That was cool.
Did you like that?
I did. That was cool.
See, I mixed it up a
I
little
like
bit.
it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got Todd Ritzema from Blackwall Games waiting in the wings. Any news from anybody before we bring him on board?
No, I just don't know what I'm going to do for a first question because this will be our second time.
Second time?
Having him on,
Well, I suppose you could say. So, what other games have you played since? Probably a lot of Horde Wars and Dropship.
Sure.
So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's bring Todd on board. What's up, Mr. DM Blackwall?
Yeah, good to be here.
Are you
Welcome.
busy lately?
Oh yes, the last 2 months of Dropship development, I spent probably 300 or 400 hours on it.
I'll bet. And it looks like it's pretty well done. You put me through the ringer trying to find some images and stuff. And plus, I had to sci-fi it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm right now basically just waiting on our soft cover printer to finish a print run, and waiting on Drive-Through RPG to approve listing the PDF. I'm not super enthused about selling through them. We only do digital because their margins are terrible.
Yeah.
But some people really like buying through them. So
yeah. Have you looked at Lulu at all, or as an option for print on demand?
Yeah, we do some print on demand with them, but not selling through them because again, their margins are actually similarly bad.
Yeah. I just know, like from my perspective, everything I've ordered from Lulu shows up in a week, and everything I order through Drive-Through shows up in 2 months.
Oh, we don't do any printing through Drive-Through. Once again, digital only.
Digital only, yeah. So if you want the print, you're shipping it yourself, right?
We do printing.
distributor?
We've done, I think, 4 different companies, but the 2 we use right now are Comics Wellspring and Lulu. Lulu, we mostly have print international orders and then some hardcovers, and then we do a soft cover print run for our U.S. based customers. Canada, it's a toss up which one you'll get because you're close enough. The postage is not insane, but as soon as we start trying to ship to Europe, it'll be printed in Europe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let me go ahead and pop the chat up here because I'm sure we're gonna have some. We're gonna have some people in the chat here.
Oh, Hunter was in there earlier. Agile was in there too.
Yeah. Agile. Hope you're feeling okay, buddy. He's the patron saint of the D&D of the OSR D&D tubers. Anyways, those of us that like the old school feel. He makes his round between you and Dan and him and who was the other fella that we're all,
Gooch.
yeah, you guys were all trying going into a competition on gifting subs for that. It's kind of interesting. So Cam, I know you've already asked your usual question, so I'll let you figure out what you want to ask Todd to begin with now for an icebreaker.
Oh, let's see. Well, I guess I have listened. Well, you were on with our friends Dean and Vicky the other day, right?
Yeah.
And I did listen to that interview. So I'm just going to steal all their questions and ask you again. So it'll be easy on both of us.
Sounds terrible, but okay.
Clever.
Well, okay. I guess I would like to hear a little bit that, this in Horde Wars, you originally started out intending to go with the sci-fi game first, and then you ended up producing Horde Wars ahead of this one, and then going back to that. Could you just tell us where you got started in your whole beginning of producing games at all, and kind of how you ended up here for the audience? I've heard some of this myself, but I think it's good.
I mean, in brief, I started writing war games, editing and writing them. Some of which are still floating around, but generally for free or for small scale convention play, and that was a lot of fun. And then when I got into RPGs, I started writing content for the RPGs that I was playing. Nate did too. We met around that time, and did a fair amount of writing together. Partly because we both worked quite long shifts at a job. We tended to do either 15 or 43 and a half hour shifts.
Wow.
And as a result, that wasn't all busy time. We'd wind up with some lag time in there and to do some writing. And anyway, so that's kind of how we got started. And then as far as working on our own RPGs, that was more recent and was simply realizing that neither D&D 5th edition nor Pathfinder and its spin-off games were capable of doing the kind of game we wanted to play, which was quick moving and challenging, that maintained tactical depth, but didn't leave a lot of a lag time where you're just kind of sitting around doing nothing. And so that took quite a while for us to build that. And we really enjoy having games that can be challenging. It's okay if sometimes you just steamroll an enemy, but most of the time it's more interesting to have to struggle in some way or figure out the best attack. Yeah.
Okay. You said that you worked on war game stuff. So you were writing scenarios like for tournaments and things like that, or what? And what games were you doing that for?
Without getting into that too much, I was doing stuff with Mage Knight. I was doing stuff with Evil Stevie's pirate game, which if you haven't heard of is by Steve Jackson of Steve Jackson Games, and was a convention specific pirate game.
Okay.
usually played with Lego pirate ships, actually.
Really?
Okay.
That's
Oh
cool.
yeah, quite a lot of fun. Although you would tend to get dozens to hundreds of your little pirates killed over the course of the many hours of battle.
As long as they don't get melted, because nothing worse
Yeah,
than
yeah.
melted Legos.
And so that was a couple of them,
Okay.
and there were some others as well. And then I wrote a very simple fantasy war game. Took about 6 pages that had some decent feedback and is still available for free, I think, on Classic Castle. But anyway, haven't touched any of that stuff in nearly 20 years. But that was some things I was doing back then.
Okay. That was quite a while back. Okay. So
Yeah.
Somebody asked, they said, what kind of job was that? I think we were talking about your long shift.
were you
Yeah,
in
healthcare, actually. Nate and I were working at a blood bank in a lab together in the distribution department. And so if somebody got shot, stabbed, had a heart attack, that sort of thing, we were 2 of the 3 guys who would be prepping blood for you in this county and I think the surrounding 5 counties.
That's a pretty important task there. I guess it makes sense. So, let's see.
Yeah, pretty important work to do, but it wasn't like it was hard to get good at. It wasn't hard to learn. Learning it took like 2 weeks or a month. Getting good at it took several years.
Yeah.
So you why was sci-fi your first choice? Are you just a fan of sci-fi primarily, or were your war games more well, I guess Mage Knight and Pirates aren't necessarily sci-fi. So why did you choose sci-fi as your first direction to go?
It's something that we wanted to explore. Didn't feel it had been done well.
That's a good point. It's
I agree.
There's a ton of fantasy stuff out there,
especially military sci-fi.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay. What? Let me ask you. What was your inspiration for the sci-fi aspects of it? Cam and I, for example, we're on a Babylon 5 retrospective stream every Wednesday.
Yeah,
which is kind of has that military vibe to it.
Nate's a fan of Babylon 5. Me, not so much. Not because I don't like it. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But Nate really enjoyed the whole series and references a fair amount in conversation.
Yeah.
But overall, I couldn't possibly answer that question, as I read and have read a lot compared to most young people, at least. Definitely thousands, probably tens of thousands of works just in the sci-fi genre.
Wow.
So I couldn't tell you where we got every single bit of inspiration from, even if I wanted to. However, I will say, as part of the preparation for writing any game during the process, Nate and I tend to read or reread a fair amount of that genre's literature. Or the most popular things, especially if there's popular things that we aren't familiar with. So while we were working on Dropship, I read and watched The Expanse. I've also watched, other than modern Star Trek, every episode of every Star Trek show ever produced until the last 5 years or so, and those can burn.
Yes. I think
real Star Trek.
Same with Star Wars until the Disney stuff. I stopped after the maybe their second movie, but
I think most people did.
I also but rereading, rewatching these kinds of things really helped us think about what's normal in this genre. What do people expect? What do people like? The same is true for Farscape, for example. Watch that, as well as the Peacekeeper Wars kind of ending.
Look at that.
So a lot of stuff. Probably my favorite one that I've read recently in military sci-fi is The Prince by Jerry Pournelle and S.M. Sterling, which is like 4 or 5 of their novels bound together in a single volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really focused around a single mercenary unit and its various deployments over the course of those books.
Okay, I want to delve into things a little, and Dan might have some questions too. But I perused your rule set here for getting ready for the show, and
Yeah.
I've played a few sci-fi games, kind of homebrew ones, and then tried some Star Wars and things. And one of the things that has always been kind of unsatisfying for me is the character level stuff seems to be pretty translatable, where you could do that well, but the ship stuff doesn't always. And so I'm curious to hear about, like I said, I read through it a little bit, and it seems like you are kind of using very similar systems between the ship and the character-based stuff, meaning
Definitely.
So it's not unfamiliar. It's not like you have to learn 2 systems. It's a lot of parallels between them. So I'd love to hear about how you develop that a bit, but maybe we can hold that off until later if someone else has something more in the origin area that they want to talk about. But I'll pass it off to Dan or Jeff at this point, or we could just go into that. Whatever you guys prefer.
Yeah.
I'd say just go to that. It was a good
Yeah.
segue into a question. Cam, go for it.
Okay, sure.
So, can you rephrase the question a little?
Yeah. So basically, I think it's relatively, because most people come from. I'd say the most common role playing is fantasy, right? And people understand I have my guy, I pick up a sword and I fight or whatever. And then translating that to sci-fi is pretty easy. I pick up my gun and I fight. But then the ship based combat is different, right? And,
I see what you're asking. So partly I've played some naval war games, so that helped.
Sure.
Nate has also done quite a bit of different playing and running different RPGs, and so have I. But Nate's done more different ones, I would say. But that we actually had a whole other system for ship combat, and then that didn't work the best. It worked; it was functional, but it wasn't the best. And then we read a bunch of what did other people do, and tried to think about how could we apply this in a single united system. Because a lot of times there tended to be like corner rules.
Mhm.
Like that were actually good, but were just for this specific situation in this specific game.
Right.
And thought about how to kind of write a united rule set that made sense and was comprehensive. That would have let you do anything from dogfights to fleet engagements to one-on-one ship battles. And some rule sets were pretty good at kind of one of those things, but none of them were really good at all of them.
Mhm.
Traveler, for example, really bogs down once you add more than 2 ships because of how they're tracking like distances and stuff. The same is true to a lesser extent of like D6 Star Wars. Whereas the D20, I can't remember what it was called, D20 Future or whatever, had a pretty good set of rules to think about how individual fighters compared to like a squadron of fighters or a flight of fighters might work. And so anyway, so those were some of the rule sets that we spent some time playing or thinking about or reading or some combination of them. And there are a bunch more because, we're not the smartest people ever. And if someone thought of a good idea and it's something we can use, we should. Yeah.
So, and I just again noticing, so you basically have a monster manual for ships in your game system here too. So people can, well, I haven't played it, but it seems to me that someone running it could, who's familiar with running D&D or any of these other systems could learn this quite easily. And
oh yeah, they're designed to run like a monster stat block. There are some additional components to be aware of, things like inertial movement for starships or different things that the characters or important NPCs could do on the starship. But in general, we've written the rules to be pretty character focused and pretty page focused. So most of what you need to run a starship battle is actually on the page, other than just the base rules of how do starship battles work in general. The same is true in Horde Wars for like a Lich's stat block. It'll have its spells written out on the page so that you don't have to go reference a bunch of other rules.
Sure.
Yeah, Arc the Arcanist. He was mentioning the hierarchy and the Nyx starships, which I've got one of those, some of those up there. There's the
That's one of the Nyx ones.
Yeah, and of course, as you were talking about, here's the stat blocks, and Nyx Raiders and so on and so forth. So,
and you did mention, like there was one part I was reading. It was like, the character stuff. It said something like doesn't work. When you're doing ship combat, it basically doesn't apply. But there are like the ace, or I think the ace.
There are character things that apply.
Yeah,
that would be a thing to be aware of.
Right, certain abilities do, but I forget what the exact reference was. But it's basically there's specific things though, right? It's like I said, like the ace.
Right, they'll have a
apply
tag
his ability.
as starship on their ability.
Right.
If it is something they can use at the starship scale. The bridge officer is a good example of someone who's got a bunch of abilities around commanding and controlling starships. The ace is another example of that. But in all cases, it'll have a little starship bracketed word to let you know, oh, this is something that works at the starship scale. And if it doesn't have that bracketed word, it doesn't function at the starship scale.
That's it. The starship scale. That was what I was thinking, because there was an example like the Paladin's armor isn't effective against a major ship weapon, for example. It's a different level. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat was asking what game we're talking about. Of course, this is Dropship. That is the focus tonight. So what's the status of it now? Is it available still for pre-order, or is it?
We have late pre-orders still up, but we've actually ordered the softcover print run at this point. So if you want to do a late pre-order while we're waiting on that print run, you're welcome to do that. I anticipate getting the books in hand sometime in the next 12 days or so, if the printer's on time. Which will mean that we'd be start shipping out about 2 weeks after that. Not because we want to delay, but because we're scheduled to be at both North Texas and at Central New York.
You're right.
Back to back. So we will not be able to ship while we are not in the state.
Now, is your partner, is Nate going to be there with you?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll get to meet the infamous Nate, and we'll start geeking out on Babylon 5.
Yes. CNY. Also.
And then we can get together and Nate and I can go tag team up on Roger.
Also, though, our buddy Steve should be there with us for North Texas.
Okay.
He went there last year with us, seemed to have a good time, and so he'll be running a little bit of Horde Wars, and Nate and I will be running some Horde Wars and some Dropship.
Yeah. Now Steve's going to be in Texas. You guys are both going to North Texas. Is Steve going up to CNY as well with you guys?
No, he won't be there for that one.
Okay. Yeah. I unfortunately, back to back 2 weekends in a row, I couldn't justify taking the time off for both of them, and I had to decide, and Roger beat me first. Uh-oh.
But Jeff, to answer the rest of Cam's question, basically lots and lots of play testing is how we developed that our ship combat system. We're at the point now where one of our tests, I think we had about 50 ships fighting, and that battle took, I think it was 2 or 3 hours. But that was like a multi-stage battle where it wasn't just a simple, hey, there's the enemy, let's go fight them. There was some maneuvering and moving around in the general star system and stuff. We were pretty happy with that speed for that many ships.
Yeah, that's very extensive compared to a 5e combat that takes that long for 8 figures, right?
Yeah, much faster with obviously smaller numbers of ships.
Yeah,
sure.
Roger says he's all in for a good Deep Space Nine conversation when we're talking about Babylon 5, because
I'd be happy to talk with him about DS9.
I'm a fan of DS9 myself as well. So
I like DS9. I particularly like it once Worf and O'Brien moved over when they brought the Defiant in and stuff like that.
Oh, when they become competent, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Leading up to that,
I can't express my true feelings for Deep Space Nine. My wife will hear me and come down and hurt me.
Oh, she loves Deep Space Nine, huh?
She does. It sucked. Next Generation was way better.
Kick him.
Kick me?
Yeah.
No, we're telling your wife to kick you.
Oh, no, she's upstairs. She's probably reading something terrible. So
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day.
yeah.
Well, you guys got anything? I do have another question I'd like to go to, but I don't want to.
You're doing great, man. Keep it up.
Okay. Well, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the setting a little bit, because in the rule set you talk about that there's an implied setting that you really haven't written for it, but it's not necessarily that you have to play that setting. It says implied.
No,
setting.
it's not what we say at all.
Okay, let me read it. What I have. Maybe this is a different version. It says Dropship has an implied setting. A broader galaxy is meant to be explored.
Oh, that's talking about. So there is a chapter with a setting. That's talking about how we don't try to explain the entire galaxy.
Okay. Well, okay.
That
So
would
then,
be very silly
let-
in any book you can hold.
let me phrase this as differently. Then, you do have some sort of, obviously you have factions, these different aliens and things. But is this also useful as a resource for someone who's like, hey, I have my own story that I want, and can you drop these systems in and customize it for your own
Yeah.
story?
So we do have a chapter with a setting in it with about 40 or so different scenarios for you to play with your players. There's also an introductory adventure and a sample space station and some starting ships and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of content, roughly almost enough for you to do a full year of campaigning without ever using the procedural generation rules.
Okay.
You should use those rules. That's actually part of dealing with the larger galaxy. And then we encourage you to add your own content as well. There are a lot of fixed locations on some of the star maps. There's 2 in the book. But there are also a bunch of star systems that you're supposed to roll with this procedural generation table. And then you'll get new and interesting missions combined with different planet types, different enemy forces, and that sort of thing. But yes, these rules are designed to let you play a lot of other military sci-fi.
Yeah.
This would not be an ideal rule set for you to play Firefly with. Not because you couldn't hack it that way, but because you'd probably need to generate about 30 pages of content in terms of trading rules and how you earn money as this in private enterprise.
Yeah.
Because the rule set is focused on all soldiers, every character is in the military, and humanity is in a losing war fighting six different alien factions.
Right.
And so the economics and the availability of goods are focused around that situation.
Okay. But it would, let's say someone was running a Firefly game and they already had that kind of stuff in there. They said, well, we want to do some more warfare though. They could take from this system and use your mechanics, for example, to enhance that part of their game.
Definitely.
Okay.
And there are full ship customization rules as well.
Okay, cool.
For anyone wondering, it's not just you're relying on the 90 or 100 stat blocks we gave you. Those are there ready to use, but we also have the information that you would need to build hundreds more.
Yeah, you have 2
pretty extensive
sector. You have 2 sector maps in there, which has got a lot of stuff on it as it is. So and as you said, you can procedurally carry on from there.
Yeah.
So if somebody does have a particular favorite IP, which ones would you say might be the best? Like I mentioned, Cam and I do the Babylon 5 thing. Some people talking about Deep Space Nine. Would Trek work, or would Babylon 5 work better, or what?
Well, those both have a core assumption that we do not, which is that different species are likely to get along.
Have you met the Narn and the Centauri? Okay, apparently
because,
not.
this is a humanocentric one. We've got basically different species of human, but they're all actually humans. It's just their the environment they've grown up in has changed them biologically to some degree.
The belters versus the heavyweight versus
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I was looking at that and I'm like, okay, I get it. That kind of makes sense.
And we actually wrote a bunch of content that didn't make it in the book, including at least 6 playable alien species. However, in actual playtesting, the rules there were fine. What that does to party dynamics was not. One alien works okay. Party will tend to still get along, still be functional as a unit. As soon as you get 2 or more, and we tried this with a bunch of different playtesters, the party cohesion tends to break down very quickly, which is very bad in a military game in which you are losing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, in Babylon 5, all hell breaks loose and everybody's against everybody, including internally, So, but so you mentioned that there's a bunch of stuff that I don't want to use the term cutting room floor, but is it possible that we would see that maybe in a future release as a supplement for if
So
somebody
there are
wanted to play?
2 or 3 things that we would want to release. One of which is what happened to the dead species, what happened to the Forerunners. We'd like to do that as an adventure, essentially. We would also like to have probably a 30 or to 50 page supplement for if you want to play merchants in this setting, in this situation, or if you want to play them in general. And then for alien species, if we did offer them, what we would actually offer is more spaceships, more stat blocks, probably 1 or 2 more member species of the hierarchy, and then also have rules for how to play a few of those species with a warning based on our play testing that should say something like either A, only let 1 player do this, or B, play an entire party of aliens.
Yeah.
One of A or B, one of the 2.
Yeah. Negative Space is asking if Babylon 5 is free anywhere. It currently, I believe, is on the Roku channel. So if you have a Roku TV or a Roku device, I think you can watch it for free there. It is ad supported. I have the DVD set. I think Cam does too, or maybe the Blu-ray. So, but sorry about that. Any rate, I would love to see, I could imagine, going up and where the humans are your enemy, or
And
playing
if the
as a
whole
group.
party is that way, that's not as much of an issue.
Yeah.
In terms of party cohesion. But we had, I don't know, somewhere between 100 and 200 playtesters for this.
Right.
And yeah, we discovered organically that it's a bad idea to have random diverse cast of characters from very different species.
Yeah. So if you want your whole crew to pretty much be of the same species, because I did see a bunch of things in there that it does say character on some of the aliens.
Right. And in the game, just like in most RPGs, there's the term non-player character, right?
Yeah.
Those are defined in the rules essentially as intelligent humanoids. So
Right.
there are monsters who may take the role of aliens, may actually be intelligent opponents, but are very much non-humanoid. Or there may be monsters that are not intelligent, things like zombies or robots.
Right.
Whereas the character ones are specifically intelligent humanoids.
Okay. And you have a bunch of different classes, even for the aliens and the humans alike. I
You
threw
mean
up
like
a
stat
few.
block for them?
Well, yeah, like the different, for example, okay, so even with like the monsters, you got a Belmori Breacher, you've got a Belmori Marksman, Belmori Corpsman, Belmore Royal Guard. I mean, you've got, and of course these are almost like individual. Like I would say the equivalent in a tabletop game would be like what maybe the different ogres or the different
Yeah.
giants or something like that. They're all kind of related, but they're different specialists. But even in the humans, you've got a variety of the different playable oh classes, I guess, is really.
Yeah, there are some who have unique abilities that are specific to NPCs, but we did the same kind of thing in Horde Wars. We simply pushed it a lot harder here because a lot of your antagonists are these alien species.
Right.
And of course, the humanity is not perfectly united. There are colonies that
Say it ain't so.
there are colonies the central government chose to abandon and kind of pull back to hold more of the core territory.
Yeah.
And some of those colonies failed to die and are pretty mad about being left out there alone. And so they are gaining varying degrees of support in other parts of human space, while the government denies that they exist at all.
Right.
And so that problem does mean that eventually you may find yourself encountering or possibly fighting with this independent movement among humans, or may find yourself fighting for them against the central government.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't use the term. You use the term careers, right? That's the way.
Careers for the player characters. So we have 21 in Horde Wars. We have 24 in Dropship.
Okay. Dan.
Yeah, so I just pinged you in the private chat, but Roger asked if there's going to be copies of Dropship available at CNY.
That's the plan. Yes.
Okay, cool. Because I'm did register for game. I'm excited to try it.
Perfect.
I have yet to really find a sci-fi TTRPG that like I really really like. The closest I've gotten is probably not probably. It's definitely Star Wars D6, but it's not like a tactical, heavy military conquest style of game, right? It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to try it. So anything you would recommend for a guy that's coming in completely green prior to CNY for your Saturday morning game?
If you pick up the PDF, or if you want to stop by the booth, or if before that, or if our printing company, if they're even more timely than we're currently aiming for,
got 3 weeks.
Get a copy of the game ahead. Build a character.
Yeah. Okay.
Make a character that you want to play. The starting scenarios, most of them that we'll be running are the starting scenario in the main book, but then we also just have a frontal assault scenario where you are on a ground mission attacking a fortified enemy position.
Cool.
And that should be fun. Possibly short if you die horribly, but fun.
Horrible deaths are fun.
They can be.
I mean,
that's part of the glory of con games, though, right? Like the number of times I was at Gary Con, and this, 2 months ago, and people were like plotting wrong, like, oh, I don't know, what should we do? I'm like, guys, we've got 3.5 hours. Chop con game. Kick the door down.
Yeah,
exactly.
And for anybody who's interested in ordering it, the QR code here should take you right to your website, Todd, and they can still jump in on a pre-order on that, right?
Yeah, so there are late pre-orders available. That's $10 more than if you were during the normal pre-order period, but that's just going to be the normal price going forward.
Right.
Basically, printing costs are up, shipping prices are up. Actually, during when the pre-orders were originally live, shipping went up 8 to 10%.
Ouch.
For us during that period. So that's just unfortunately what we have to
Well,
charge.
gas prices are up everywhere, so it's
I just shipped 2 books to a buddy in Canada, and it cost me $70.
What?
Yeah.
So Dan,
Mhm.
one other thing though that you'd want to prepare for, like you asked, if you have the chance, think about what kind of role you want to play in an infantry squad.
Okay.
Look at what modern militaries do, and depending on which military, you're looking at a squad of somewhere between 4 to 10 guys, typically.
Okay.
Um,
What would you recommend for someone that likes playing lead shit kicker in Rainbow Six Siege?
a breacher whose job
Excellent.
it is to kick in
Perfect. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. That's it. Breacher done.
Yeah.
I will roll one up.
A breacher, and then you'll want to add another career to that, because in Dropship you get 2 careers, putting them together to make the starting abilities for your character.
Okay. Cool. All right.
And then when you advance in one or the other career,
Okay.
or potentially in your species. Though as this one is human centric, advancing as a human simply means that you get an extra feature.
Okay. Cool.
You don't want it to be a heavy? No? No. That
No.
might be
No.
fun.
Breacher.
Breacher. Yeah, okay. He wants
Lead
to-
shit kicker.
All
Yeah.
right.
And we got guys with power armor. We've got people who want to bring melee weapons into gunfights. We've got some psychic powers. We've got character ability suites that are really focused on starship combat. Some of the careers are kind of split focused,
Okay.
and about half to 2/3 are ground combat focused, or boarding enemy ships combat focused, or a little of both of those things.
Yeah. I was looking at the mechanic and I'm like, hey, that's cool. That sounds like that would be an interesting thing. So would you say the mechanic is sort of like a combat engineer almost?
No. I would say the grenadier is probably closer to a combat engineer.
Okay.
The mechanic is a lot closer to Scotty in original Star Trek.
I'm giving it all you can. Go, Captain.
Although not the real man who totally stole a plane and flew it under a bridge at one point during World War II.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I noticed this as an expert at destroying and repairing. So.
Yes. The mechanic and the technician are kind of opposite sides of the same coin as far as being very good at using starship technology to either protect or harm starships.
Yeah.
And they can mostly counter each other's abilities.
Okay. Of course, you've got a medic.
Stuff like punching through shields, cutting through enemy armor, polarizing the hull to give yourself temporary protection, transferring power to shields, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now you also have a couple of classes here. You've got a scion and a psychic.
Correct.
And so how do you differentiate between the two of those, because they're
One's
both
telekinesis and one's telepathic.
so one can read minds or interpret
And
suggest
one
things.
move stuff with his mind. Exactly.
One can smack somebody around with it. Okay. Rangers. let me
So I
see.
should be a telekinetic breacher then, so I can kick down the door and then just bitch slap the dude on the other side.
Potentially. Although you could always shoot him with your shotgun or throw a grenade in there.
That's true. Yeah. Well, you might have to unlock the door from the other side.
Now that's interesting. Yeah.
That was much smarter than I expected coming from you, Jeff.
Thanks, man. Love you too.
I'm kidding, everybody.
Now, Jeff, did you like the character art? So unlike in Horde Wars, we did have individual artwork for each of the careers.
Yeah, I do. The smuggler. I actually kind of like the smuggler personally, because
show them. You're welcome to display it.
Let me bring that back up here. Let's see here. Oh, here Jeanette must be hearing it now because she's laughing. So let me see here. Show. There we go. Okay. Yeah. And let's go ahead and full screen this here. And hide the chat. Go away, chat.
Goodbye, chat. We'll miss you.
We love you, but you're making it hard to read. Okay. So I don't need the table of contents.
And
so
each of these careers basically is a single page. At the top, you'll see a brief description, as well as the name of the career,
Right.
starting skills, your starting abilities. There's usually 3, and then your starting equipment. When you're making your character, you're picking 2 careers, and you get the starting equipment of one of those careers of your choice.
Ah, okay.
And then the capstones are things you get at certain higher character levels if you choose to advance in this career as compared to another one.
Okay. How does levels work? What's the
There are 12 levels in the game. Character levels 1 through 4. You're in tier 1 of play. When you
Okay.
enter tier 2, which is a character level 5, then you get 1 capstone that you have access to, which would be one of the ones, say, from Smuggler here, or one of the ones from your other career.
right?
Then when you hit character level 9, you'll get a second capstone. Again, you could pick one of the ones in Smuggler or one of the ones in your other career. And then that'll be it. You'll only ever get 2 capstones, even though you'll have had access to 4 or 5.
Ah, okay.
And so even characters who start with the same pairing of careers can wind up in quite different places in terms of their high-end abilities.
Right.
And then when you add in features and perks to further customize your character at each level, that you can wind up very divergent, even if you started with the same ones. And your odds of starting with the same pairing are quite low in a game in which you have 23 other careers to pair the chosen one with. We have had very little duplication, even with blind character building. And if we do, it's like 2 players, and then everyone else is different.
See, I think it'd be interesting to be like a spacer / engineer, or the
Oh, yeah.
Other
It depends on the
mechanic
kind of
space
campaign. So this is designed for you to play one of 3 styles of military campaign, one of which is marine focused, where you're just doing ground combat and boarding actions. One of which is starship focused, where you're just doing naval actions, engaging enemy fleets. Some boarding actions still, but not really focused on person-to-person combat unless things have gone very poorly. And then there's the primary one, which is the specialist campaign, where you're playing a team of specialists drawn together from the Navy, the Marines, the Starfighter Corps, and you are being deployed on a bunch of different kinds of missions. And so each character should be at least not dead letter in each different kind of situation. And for those campaigns, we do encourage the game master to let you play a couple characters. Character rank does matter. Part of the leveling up process, when you hit a new capstone, you will get you'll advance in rank, but you can also earn advancements in rank through features or through earning enough medals.
Right.
And the medals actually give you bonuses for wearing them. So there's a mechanical reason why you'd want to earn like a combat medal. It's not just for prestige; it actually makes you better at the skill in question.
All right. So you've got a whole chapter here on the game master. So that everything is that you need to play or run is in this book, right?
Oh yes.
So it's fairly
Yay,
comprehensive.
one book games.
Yeah, isn't it great? Those
Yeah.
you don't always get those very often.
It is challenging to write that way. As I said, there was probably almost 100 pages of additional content we could have put in here, but it just that wasn't good. Those are for kind of corner cases, right? Not
Right.
every play group is going to want to explore what happened to the extinct species, the Forerunners. Not every play group is going to want to play merchant traders in this world where really you should be playing soldiers because you're all going to die. Yes. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah. Somebody made a comment. Looking forward to my copy of Dropship, which apparently involves Doritos on the
Oh,
floor.
yeah, that's my phone always autocorrects mothership to mother's hip, and it's hilarious.
That's funny. No, I think. Let's see.
If you scroll down a little bit there, Jeff,
Sure.
Go another page or two in.
What am I looking for here?
Keep going.
Okay.
And there. So you'll see here we have directions for rolling up procedurally different missions.
Right.
And
cool.
if you go to the next page, they'll be able to see an example of one of those mission tables.
Ah, okay. Here's the Marine missions here. Let me see if I can fit it all on there.
Yeah, and you wind up, and then you're also rolling for like who controls the star system, what kind of habitable planets there are, if any, enemy naval presence, enemy ground presence in the area that you are doing a mission in, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
I'm a sucker for generators and books.
I think that they're really useful, especially if you want to run a game long term.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Now, would you say that everybody, that as you said, some people want to be focused on one? What about mixing it up? For example, when maybe you're trying to get around a naval blockade, right? So that's maybe your first mission, and then once you get around that or defeat that, then of course you're going to try and infiltrate enemy whatever. How long would you say that these sessions would be?
I mean, depending on the mission, generally each mission is designed to take place in a single session. I have had players take two sessions to do a mission, and I've also had them complete 2 missions in a single session. But
cool.
generally speaking, about one 2.5 to 4 hour session, typically 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Very cool.
Okay. So it's kind of a get it done, and you're having a quick night. Now I'm one of those crazy people who we always gamed for about 12-hour sessions. But
well, in that case, you'll really enjoy Planetary Invasions, because that involves a series typically of 2 to 5 missions to try to invade a planet. And you might be able to knock one of those out in a 12-hour block.
Yeah. Okay. One of them. One out of the 5. Yeah.
I mean, that's cool.
No. One of the Planetary Invasions.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a randomly generated number between 2 and 5 total missions. Yeah. If each mission takes 2.5, 3.5 hours, you might actually finish a planet invasion in one of those long sessions.
Otherwise, it would be probably what you'd say 3 to 4 4-hour sessions, maybe.
Yeah,
something like that.
And you're typically getting somewhere between 2 and 5 experience per mission, and you need 12 experience points to level up.
So the leveling up process. How does that go about now?
If you click the character creation chapter, 3, I want to say.
All right, let me see if I can find it here.
Looks like it's chapter 2.
Is it
character creation?
Yeah.
Chapter 3, whatever one's called character creation. Click on that.
Yeah, chapter 2. There we go.
Scroll down 1 page.
1 page?
Yeah.
Okay. Beyond first level. There we go.
That would answer your question.
There you go. So and so you're going to level up. Each mission is 2 to 4 experience points. What's the determining factor? Is that part of the generation?
It's based on
process?
difficulty.
Okay.
And then note what it says after that, because that's something that we developed in that same paragraph where it says each successful mission yields 2 to 4.
Yeah. Depending on difficulty, can also vote for an MVP. So the MVP can actually get experience points and medals.
Yes.
Oh man, I look forward to arguing with my friends on why I'm the MVP and I'm the best. That's going to be amazing.
You're very good at arguing. So
I am not shy, and I'm good at advocating for myself.
Yeah.
And just like real militaries, there's a limit to how many medals or types of medals you're allowed to display, how many you're allowed to wear. You do get mechanical benefits from them, but there's only so many you're allowed to wear. The only military on Earth that I'm aware of that actually is unrestricted is the North Korean military.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else limits it somehow.
And all of those medals are 100% completely legit.
Yes.
No, they actually can wear their like ancestors' medals, which gets very ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I've
over time.
seen the pictures of the North Korean guys with like the medals on the entire front of their shirt.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy.
At that point, they're just wearing ring mail,
the medals, the
scale mail,
body armor.
scale
Yeah.
mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then you'll see the even levels, you get those perks. And so, in short, a perk is just changing a number on your character sheet. You're gaining a new skill, you're getting better at a skill, you're getting extra hit points, you're extending the range of one of your abilities, etc. Those sorts of things.
The tier system's kind of reminiscent of Savage Worlds for me. I've played a lot of Savage Worlds, and Savage Worlds you go from like novice to veteran to seasoned to veteran to elite or whatever it is.
Mhm.
So are there different perks that you can get at the different tiers, or are they common throughout all three tiers?
They're common throughout all three.
Okay.
The main difference in the tiers is higher tier characters are doing more damage, have
Okay.
access to higher level abilities from the capstones, and typically are wealthy enough to have, or they've stolen enough to have a pretty large amount of personal resources. That's not so much something that we're forcing to happen, but that is what tends to happen unless they suffer defeat.
okay. Now injuries. When it comes to getting
Yeah.
injured, how does that work, and how does recovery for that work? Are
So
there
there are
permanent
injuries that can knock your character out for a course of weeks or months.
Yeah.
Or rather, it's not the injury itself that knocks them out. It's trying to fix it. It's balancing. Am I willing to tolerate this downside of, say, having a busted leg
Right.
or cracked ribs? Or am I going to take the time to get this treated either with a quick surgery to replace the parts with cybernetics, or with a longer surgery that actually fixes the problem but puts my character out of commission for a longer period of time? Now, if you get a good surgeon who has access to an actual surgical suite, that can really speed things up and increase the recovery time or decrease the recovery time. But if you're just out in the boonies and you have your buddy Fred, who is theoretically a medic, do the work, it's not gonna go well. And so the other thing is, so there's a table for permanent injuries in chapter 1, but essentially your lifespan is a resource.
Right.
And so you want to play young characters, because when you travel from star system to star system, you're typically burning somewhere between 1 and 6 months of your character's life every time you go to a new star.
Oh wow. Okay. So the speed of ships is even though you may be doing what, faster than light? Are you
That's definitely faster than light.
yeah. But still the vast distance is coming out to about 6 months of time on the ship.
Call it about 1 to 6 months.
Yeah.
2 weeks would be the shortest that would be possible. Maybe 10 days if you maxed out everything and had a very, very close star. But usually 1 to 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
My character for CNY is definitely going to be the old man going out for his last ride.
All right. Well, just don't play a Wastelander then, or you might die in character creation.
Traveler?
Wastelanders roll for old age at 20.
Ah, okay.
Really? 20 is old age, huh?
Which means they can die of old age as young as 26.
Oh dear.
Oh wow.
They can live into their 50s or 60s, but they might not.
Well, gee, thanks. You're making me feel old now.
Well, Jeff, I hate to break it to you, but
Yeah, it was nice knowing everybody.
But exposure to nuclear fallout or other sources of radiation for your entire life, not super good for your lifespan.
Yeah. Max got a question about stasis or low birth.
Oh, sure. But you know what the military doesn't do? Spend money on that for grunts.
I get you.
So if you manage to get the resources yourself, to convert part of a ship you're stationed on or your ship's cargo bay to have those, yeah. You could totally do that. But that is just not something that the government is spending money on during a losing war.
So I did see a bit of the creatures alluded to when Jeff had the random encounter tables up earlier. Is it anything reminiscent of the flood from Halo, so I can play Halo with this?
I mean, we have zombies, so definitely.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Do any of them explode?
We've got a whole bunch of different beasts and monsters. If you guys just want to scroll through there a sec. And those are primarily for when you get missions that put you on a planet's surface for longer than a few hours. Then now you're suddenly dealing with, well, what lives here and might it try to eat me?
Cool.
I remember you talking about this Glimmer Lion when you were on last talk about Horde Wars. You had mentioned this to us.
Yes, they are invisible to normal vision. But if you've got like thermal, you can see them easily.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. That was one of the creatures you were particularly fond of. I think you thought it worked out really well. And let's see here. Crustaceans.
Yeah, the trilobite worm is a little terrifying. Think of it as a sea dragon.
Oh, well, how lovely. How lovely. And it's only got 360 hit points as opposed to, the spine fish, which is 12.
Or the carnivore clan with 24.
Which is 24. So, yeah, it is.
Scaling, you start at 18 plus fitness.
Okay.
For hit points.
So you're looking at being what, maybe in the low 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah. At best. Okay. You've got dinosaurs there, so that's kind of a.
Oh yeah, we love dinosaurs. We got those in Horde Wars, got those here. We're planning to put them in our third game as well.
Third game. Do we have breaking news? What are we looking at on that?
Oh man, we've been working on a superhero game for a few years. We got it about 2/3 done.
Cool.
Okay. I know a lot of folks that are really into the superhero stuff, so that's
right
good.
there, the Leviathan. I think it's Job 41. I told the artist to read Job 41 and draw that.
Nice.
Yeah. What is this one here? This is the Leviathan. Yep. And what a terrifying little creature. I want him as a pet. No. Of course, you've got the different canines, including and they're all beasts, right? So
there's a variety of beasts and monsters. The dogs are all beasts.
Are there any that are
The main definitional difference that will matter for players is you can't eat monsters.
You cannot.
So if you're low on food, you want to find some beasts.
Okay. So beast is better than a monster. And I remember talking about this is the Hollow Man, right?
It is.
And that's kind of an interesting concept. You want to explain what the origins behind that one is?
So I read a sci-fi book many, many years ago that involved humans discovering a space-suited humanoid on the moon. Except, and he appeared to be human, more or less. The thing was, there was no associated mission. And when they started testing the body, he was like thousands of years old. And they were like, uh-oh. What does this mean? Anyway, that was pretty cool. I thought that was interesting. And I combined that idea with Space Ghosts. And the T.S. Eliot poem where he talks about we are the hollow men, we are the stuffed men, was also in my mind.
Yeah.
And see, these are basically merging those concepts into, I think, a pretty fun monster where they're basically animating spacesuits or suits of armor and going around and to all appearances, up to their own agenda. No one's really sure what they're doing, but they still remember like how to fly spaceships and shoot guns.
That's That's cool. They're basically just almost an echo or a memory in a way, but
Yeah.
a dangerous one. Living Orbs. I was looking at that and I was like, is that a sun? And then when I was kind of going through it before, and I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds almost familiar. You know, something along the lines of I'm trying to think of what they're called. There's something similar in D&D, but
The Will-O-Wisp.
the Will-O-Wisp. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't think they're quite as powerful though. This is not necessarily something to be trifled with. I mean, it's 60 hit points, so it's going to take a group of some folks to combat it.
Yeah. The mind shard is really funny.
36. What's the oh,
It looks like a normal piece of crystal or gemstone,
yeah.
and it basically manipulates you into picking it up and taking it with you.
It's like, you really want me. You really want me to take you. I'm very desirable. You want to take it. And that's how it propagates or does
Yeah,
it?
that's how it gets from system to system. It is basically tricking and mind controlling people into spreading it throughout the galaxy.
That's cool. Haven tuna. So yeah, you can have your tuna if you want. Let's see. You can breathe underwater. Let's see here. And I remember talking about this before with Horde Wars. The way that you describe the traits is from a first person perspective.
Correct, because the game master or the player is taking on the role of the character or taking on the role of the monster or the beast.
Right.
And so they're all written as though you're that creature. The main reason we did that, though, is actually for space reasons. It is significantly shorter writing abilities this way, rather than saying, for example, whenever this creature, blah, 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 when you write that way and in that style, you tend to eat up a lot of vertical space on the page.
Yeah. JP's got a question here about, so why can't you eat monsters? How are they different from beasts? Because he thinks a Leviathan steaks could
Actually, I think
be
the
a combat.
Leviathan is a beast. But ignoring that, to answer your question, things like zombies and robots are monsters.
Right. Well, you don't want to eat a zombie. That's probably not good for you. Now, the Eldritch Horror.
Yeah, so this is one of a couple pieces that we actually asked the artist to draw, or at least draw the beginnings of first, before we even wrote the stat block. And Jessie, who's the one who drew this one, had in her mind a shape that couldn't exist. Because that isn't geometrically possible, the thing that she drew.
Right.
And really liked the idea of that, like messing with people's minds, making them go crazy or act strange. And I was very much on the same page. I thought that was pretty cool. And so, yeah, that's where that developed from.
Yeah, I thought that was. I'm like, I looked at that image and I was like, huh. So, of course, as you can see, it's destroying what I guess the road or whatever the case is.
Yes.
But anybody that was to be in its presence, it probably has to make some sort of checks. How do the checks work in something like that? Is there an ability to resist?
Yeah. Now, in this case, you're dealing with a lot of active actions that it is taking. It's doing stuff to you on purpose.
Right.
Rather than having like an aura or something. There are auras in the game, but in this case, this creature is quite active in executing its goals. And there is at least one in one of the sample missions.
Ah. All right. And of course, you've got the krill.
Oh, yeah. If you want to play legally distinct Starship Troopers, here you go.
Yeah.
I
Got a
do, in
whole
fact.
insect hive.
I do, in fact, want to go kill the definitely not Clendathu bugs.
Gotta love the bugs. Crow
No, you don't. The only good bug is a dead bug.
Indeed.
And then, of course, nanites. Yeah. Always got to watch out for those. Anybody who watched Stargate knows well the danger.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. Can't eat zombie. Look, I'm sure there's a Michelin-rated chef out there. Indeed.
Yeah, there are also some rocks that are monsters. Like these are not edible choices.
I like this one.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that looks.
Katagas did a good job on that.
Yeah. Pit monster. What is that?
Got an ooze there.
Yep, the slurper, the digester. There's a lot of things. Cam, I'm sure you've got some questions that have come up in your mind.
One thing I was so for the character creation, you choose 2 careers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So and it's a military based game. So but there are some classes like diplomat and smuggler and things. So did you envision that? It's like you would have a pass as a diplomat, or you were maybe a military attaché or things. Is that why you have those classes in there, or do you have
some of those do mention that? Like for the smuggler specifically, it goes, "You're a current or former."
Mhm.
Yeah, but also the reason that we have those careers, in addition to having like an attaché, that's certainly an option,
Right.
is they serve an actual role in the military. An example in fiction is Face from the A-Team.
Mhm.
He basically has the abilities of a diplomat.
Sure.
However, the function inside the military in real life, and especially in a war where you are in a serious fight, most of our modern military engagements, with respect, are not serious fights. By which I mean they are not against a peer who can actually hit back to any reasonable degree. That was not true, for example, in World War II. We were fighting near peers there who were capable of striking back at us and sinking our ships around our own coastline, right? Or in the case of Japan, sending a balloon to California in an attempt to bomb it. But they could reach us. And they did, in fact, reach Alaska and Hawaii, right? So in a war where against a serious opponent, or in this case against multiple serious opponents, what tended to happen historically, and we felt it was pretty realistic, is that characters of this sort, when they got in the military, would help their unit in unique ways. For example, often in requisitioning supplies or arranging for specialized treatment. Now, an example that I think is a little funny because it's obviously something that they weren't supposed to, is JFK's PT boat. PT 109 had a tank gun on it. You know who doesn't issue tank guns? The Navy.
The Navy. Yeah.
So he had a guy on his crew who was purveying and acquiring goods from sources outside of the Navy.
I believe it's referred to as strategically transferring equipment to an alternative location.
Yes. There was also a unit at one point that strategically transported all of the power generation equipment for the commands of a local base, and they got in a lot of trouble. Commander came down, confiscated it, and then ordered an investigation. And they had strategically acquired something like 100 motor vehicles they weren't supposed to have, and a bunch of other things.
Roger says he's got to get up super early. He will
a good
see
night.
all of us except for Cam
Oh no.
soon.
Yep.
Yes. So
Looking
Looking forward to it.
yeah,
very much.
And another example though of the strategic acquisition. There are at least 2 different guys I'm aware of who built custom bombers in World War II. One of them was a whole team of guys who basically nobody else wanted to fly with because they were a little too enthusiastic, and they built their own bomber basically out of rejects and scraps and damaged parts, and were highly effective. But there was another guy who was so good at customizing bombers that he got brought back to the U.S. to teach some of our manufacturers and engineers how to build versions of the models he was using in combat, because he converted some of our bombers into basically very, very early predecessors to the A-10 Warthog. He turned bombers into close support craft for infantry, and was doing things that our engineers at home said weren't possible due to weight. So anyway, this was a thing that happened pretty regularly, and so we wanted to represent that. And it wasn't just the US. Those are just ones I'm familiar with. But the Russians and Germans were doing the same kinds of things. British, less unofficially, but through official channels, were also quite inventive with some of their resources.
Yeah, I love all these ships.
And just in case anyone's curious, he was talking about Pappy Gun in World War II.
Yes, that is one of them.
I just watched the Fat Electrician video on that, but
You're not talking about the Black Sheep Squadron, are you?
That's Pappy Bowington.
Oh.
Yeah. No, this is Colonel Paul Irvin Pappy Gun.
Okay. So that must have been a common nickname back then.
And yeah, he put a bunch of guns on a bomber, and then when the R&D guys back in America put even more machine guns on the bomber, he said, "Hold my beer," and then put like he put on 6, the R&D people back home put on 8, and then he put on like 14 or some damn thing.
12 or 14.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was awesome.
Jeez.
And because the Japanese were used to bombing runs on their troop transports, what they would do is turn the transport towards the bomber as it approached to narrow their target area. Of course, and then that's pretty bad if the enemy's going to try and strafe you instead.
Yep, getting strafe bow to stern. So he would also fly really low. So
yeah.
So the kind of the setting where humanity is being pressed by by a lot of enemies. So that's kind of interesting. So it's like this characters that are innovating, just to try and survive and take advantage of the maybe limited resources, they have to work with. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, and they're basically relying on what they can steal, what they can borrow, and what they can afford with their limited pay.
Sure.
Because the central government does not have unlimited supplies to send them.
Right. This is kind of a different topic, but from what you've been describing, it strikes me as this would be a good game to bridge between war gamers and role players. Did you kind of have that in mind? I mean, like you said, you came from the war game, doing a lot of work in wargaming.
I think so. I mean, especially if you are, I'll call them out briefly, Warhammer 40K players. You should try this. It'll play faster, and you'll be able to do things with more strategic depth, even if you take whatever version of that lore you want to use and use these rules to play it. You're going to be able to do fleet battles that game doesn't really support, where you're going to be able to have a single squad of our versions of guys in power armor fighting, hundreds of opponents and have that actually go reasonably well. Or you could all die. That could also happen. But a lot of times, I've watched a fair amount of Warhammer play, and I've tried a little bit of it. I like some of their miniatures. They're not the pricing, but
Yeah.
they as a game system, it's trying to promise a lot more than it can really deliver.
Okay. And maybe, just maybe, there might be some people unhappy with the way Games Workshop has been doing things, and would be like to find another system they could use with all their extremely expensive miniatures.
And you could, for example, take those miniatures and play this game.
Yeah.
And in fact, about half of our character demonstration models are either Warhammer models or are kit bashed using at least a Warhammer part.
So would you advocate using minis or Theater of the Mind, or
I mean,
what's your
I run
preference?
Theater of the Mind online. In person, I typically run with miniatures, and then I'll do a few Theater of the Mind things. But the most important thing, if you're trying to prioritize or if you're on a limited budget and think miniatures sound cool, really the thing to bear in mind is it's not that hard to represent like soldiers with some dice.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to want to, at the very least, get a grid to track ship positions, because if you start a space battle with more than 2 ships, being able to see their positions relative to one another are going to save you some headaches.
Yeah. Now, any thought to 3D space?
Yes,
Okay.
there is 3D space movement, just like there would be in a normal battlefield if somebody can fly.
Okay.
So, yep. But even then, a grid is going to help you track typical positioning, because then you simply have to know the height above or below the grid and where.
Whatever your axis is, right? So, and relative to you.
Correct. And
Yeah.
so it is, and we are using non-Euclidean geometry when it comes to square grids. Or put another way, hex grids are probably better for accuracy, but if you're playing on a square grid, you don't have to do any weird rules about like 1.25 movement or
for
anything
angular
like that.
movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually gonna broach the question about, because all of your sector maps, they're all square, but
Yes.
how that, whether it was a design choice or personal
Yeah,
preference.
because that works in 3 dimensions much better than a honeycomb.
Yeah, that might get a little difficult to track.
Yeah, because you can stack cubes.
You can stack cubes.
Yep. Trying to fit everything else in there. Go ahead, Cam.
I was going to say, in regards to dead gaming systems, I have at least 2. Dust 1947, which is kind of a weird war game, but cool miniatures for it would be more the squad level stuff than the spaceship stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the system could adapt to use that, or just the miniatures. No problem.
Oh, definitely.
And then there's another game I had from way back called Vor that was a sci-fi game that has aliens and things. So this I'm sure could be used for that. And it was kind of a cumbersome system, that had a lot of roles to it and such. But I often think about, man, I'd like to play, the theme, I like the story and everything. And from what I've read here, it sounds like I could probably make a simpler adaptation and play with those miniatures and things with your system as well.
Yes.
I like that, having those options, that you can toolbox something up, using a game system that's flexible enough. So that's really cool.
And we tried to make it fairly obvious if you wanted to make your own careers or wanted to make your own custom features or weapons, what kinds of things you should do in order to create that. Or rather, there are so many examples that as long as you follow the examples, it shouldn't be hard to create custom content that is relatively balanced.
Intuitive.
If you choose to do some random thing and ignore the examples, that's on you. But we did design it in such a way that you should be able to predict how other content would look if you spend some time learning it.
Sure. Yeah. And you have, like you said, you've got plenty of monster manual types of things in there to use as templates for that.
Yeah. I mean,
it uses the same background math as Horde Wars. My co-author is a physicist and mathematician. There is one change in presentation, though. In Horde Wars, you get special material weapons to do an extra die of damage against certain creature types: silver for monsters, bronze for beasts, and so on. In this game, you actually get an extra die of damage, not for special material, but based on either your or enemy activity. And it's based on what kind of human that you're playing. So if you're a normal human, you being wounded makes you do an extra die of damage. This is to represent adrenaline.
Okay.
Whereas if you're a wastelander, who are kind of paranoid, short-lived guys, they do an extra die of damage whenever an enemy moves. So they're just watching. They're head on a swivel. And we have similar abilities for each of the varieties of human. All of the monsters and all of the beasts and the enemy aliens, the different factions, each have their own specialized kind of behavioral traits that will do extra damage.
Yeah,
cool. Even zombies.
I'm looking forward to testing this out up in CNY. What does your schedule look like upcoming? Because I know you've got in 2 weeks is North Texas, right? And then 3 weeks is CNY. That's in Central New York near you.
Yeah.
What else have you got on your agenda?
Let's see. We are signed up to do. It's a ways out, but we're signed up to do page 4.
Okay. So you're gonna be a page.
And I think there's a couple of like fall ones that we're looking at doing that we have not yet signed up for. I'd like to find. I mean, ideally, we'd like to find something like Ohio, Pennsylvania, or maybe Kentucky area, and we'd also like to find one in Florida. We actually have. Partly it's just where lots of people live, but our highest proportions of customers, not in order, but in general, are Great Lakes, Texas and adjacent states, Florida and adjacent states, and then California and adjacent states. We've got scattered ones throughout other areas. Oh, and England. England's also on that list. We have a
we might know a guy that might be able to get.
Well, there's a
you know a guy.
Well, yeah, you'll have to let me know. The ideal convention size for us, what we'd be looking for, is somewhere between 250 and 1,500 participants.
Okay.
Based on the different conventions we've gone to, that tends to be the sweet spot for small developers as far as making the trip cost effective.
And JP points out our buddy Travis, as SharkCon is in Charleston, West Virginia, so that's probably not a bad idea.
If you can, I mean, JP, I'm pretty sure you've got my contact info. I definitely interact with you on occasion. If you can, send me like a link to that through Twitter would be fine, or through our email. I don't know anything about it. I'd love to check it out. But yeah, and obviously we also want one that's focused on. We want to hit one that's focused on this style of games. We don't want to like go to an anime convention or something.
Yeah.
That would not go over well. One thing we also do is we do sell secondhand miniatures.
Okay.
We do that partly because it's useful to people who want to play our games.
Right.
And partly because it helps bring new people over to our table who wouldn't come over otherwise. But there's this thing that they might be interested in, and it tends to draw people over. So I have personally rebased 100 miniatures in the last 2 days.
Yeah. They call that upcycling.
So
Yeah.
have you there's a con by me called WindyCon. It's in October. It's the same weekend as Arnicon. It's really close to me, actually. It's like 30 minutes away. But it's a sci-fi convention, and there's usually about 1,000 people. I know they do some gaming. I'm not sure how much tabletop gaming, but it might be worth a look. It's in the Chicago suburbs.
If you could, Dan, are we mutuals in social media?
The only social media I have is Discord. I deleted everything else because
I can.
yeah, Jeff will connect us on
I'll
Discord.
All
connect
right,
you guys.
that would be wonderful.
Just don't let me
Jeff
Jeff has my phone number, so he can send
Jeff
me.
has everybody's phone number. I have 2 phone numbers. I have 3. I have Jeff's, I have Agile Monks, and I have Glenn Hellstrom's, and that's it.
Yeah, I have those.
I'm sure you do.
But yeah, well, maybe I could entice you to come to Tennessee. I'm working on putting a con together too, and where I'm at in this general area, we're regionally convenient to a number of areas. We're like 3 hours from Atlanta, 3 hours from Nashville, 3 hours from Huntsville, 3 hours from Asheville. I mean, we're like literally in 5 hours from Cincy. So,
Yeah, no, that could be good. So yeah,
Right
we'd
off
love to do
75.
some more. We did just finish a private convention. We do a few of those through the year. When did we get back? We got back on the 3rd.
Yeah, I've got my big calendar. I know you can see it right there. I call it my calendar of doom.
You brag about that calendar like every chance you get.
I know. Well, no, it's the story behind it, because the calendar.
No. Hang on. No, we're being really good. We've been staying on target. Like, this is kind of almost like an episode of Second Watch. Don't go into a calendar rant. Moving on.
Have you been on Second Watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last
So
week.
you've talked to Maddie. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm planning to try to how can I phrase this? Nuke him to death in a game at North Texas.
Well, I'm hoping
Not just him, everyone.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that Matt, I know Matt and Gary are going to North Texas, but I'm hoping Matt can at least make it on Sunday at CNY.
Yeah.
He said he might, but he hasn't made any promises yet. But at the very least, I want to meet up with him and shake his hand and talk to him face to face for a bit.
The first game those 3 guys played together in person was Horde Wars.
Really?
Yeah.
Matt, Gary, and Cloaker?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think you're right. I think they did mention that. I think I saw that. Yeah, we're in a game on Monday nights that Dan is running. We're doing a Hyperborea game now.
Nice.
And Matt's in that one.
Todd is going to murder Matt with a nuke. I'm going to murder you all with cannibals.
Well, with kindness.
With cannibals. Cannibal zombie Eskimos. Because Hyperborea is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say though, really, we're all just going to have it in for Chubby Funster probably. Although I was his ally last game, so maybe I won't have it in for him. But he won sneakily, and I don't think the others are going to let that go.
That was that nuclear war game with the Black Labs guys, right?
Yeah. Revenge. Is that what it is?
No, it's called Nuclear War.
Oh, literally, it's called.
Literally, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, he Chubby's a great guy. I talk to him. I chat with him all the time on Discord. He's part of the in crowd, I guess, for our so that was the first thing that I ran that I played in was Chubby was running his Shadow Rim game. So,
I'm hoping to get to play a little bit of Shadow City, I think you called it.
I want to play Shadow City. I have it sitting on the shelf. And we tried to get him to do it. He explained it like this. He says, once I've finished a project and it's gone to print, the last thing I want to do is revisit it right away. And I kind of get that, because it's done. You put it away, Of course, he says that, right? And he did Shadow City, and that's finished, and then he ran Shadow Rim for several of us. And now he's working on his
Shadow Sun.
Shadow Sun 2.0, I guess is the way. Yeah, so he's revising and expanding it significantly. So
Although that's revisiting something that's, I think, 8 years old, roughly.
yeah. Well, and he says, it's been enough time that now he's learned so much more that it's worth going back. And
Oh, I definitely understand. Our original draft of Dropship was pretty bad. Wasn't unplayable, but it was bad. And by taking the time to learn how to be better at game design and doing a ton of playtesting and writing Horde Wars, and shoot, we actually also, over that development process, wrote a version of a superhero game and playtested it.
Yeah.
And that really helped us. And we played a bunch of other games too. That really helped Nate and I refine the design so that the version you have, if you looked at the original draft, you can definitely see where it came from. Like there's stuff that's directly linked, but the writing, the layout, and the clarity of the rules has improved dramatically. And the player character abilities are all new because none of the original player character abilities stayed in the game. A lot of the abilities became either part of the skill system,
Right.
or were so niche that they were not useful often enough, or were not active things. They were things you could just do with like skills or like activity in the game world that you didn't really need a special ability to do it. And so I'm much happier with the final version.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it weighs in at what, 300 pages. So
Yes.
I'm seeing. I think I'm on page 298 right now, and the what I'm looking at, and the last 2 pages, 299 and 300, are your character sheet. So
Yeah.
and it looks pretty straightforward character sheet. It's everything seems to make sense, and it's very straightforward, clean
Thanks.
design. I don't know if I don't see any other questions in the chat. If anybody has one, you've got a few minutes if you want to get one last question in. I know Cam has to go because he's in a few minutes because he has another show to prepare for. Don't you, Cam?
Indeed. Tonight on Top Lofty Lounge at 11 p.m. Eastern, we are doing a movie watch night. Well, talking about the movie we've already watched, which is Capricorn 1 from 1978.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I really need to update this that image, but this should take you to the Top Lofty Lounge, and anybody that's interested. Yeah, I still have the Neil Asher one up there. I stopped interviewed Neil Asher, but any rate, and if you're interested in getting it, you can go to Blackwall Games. That QR code will take you there. And I should probably drop them in the chat just in case anybody wants to.
It's blackwallgames.com. Just go over to the store page, and you can do a late pre-order. You can pick up PDF. Pretty simple stuff. The guy we had design the website, I think, did a really good job, and I've been doing a little bit of work on the back end, but we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
Incidentally, he lives directly up there.
Oh, he's your neighbor.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that was it planned that way, or is that how you met?
I met because I think he introduced himself in the hall.
Yeah.
And then at some point he caught that we played D&D, and he hadn't played but was really interested in it. And so I loaned him a book or two, and then we kind of got to know each other from there. And he has been actively, I don't think the first time he played an RPG was with me, but definitely in the first few. And so he's been actively helping playtest games we've been working on for, I don't know, 3 to 5 years now.
Yeah. And JP says, already ordered it. Can't wait to have it in my hot little hands. And yes, by the way, I figured out what you were talking about. That stream this morning. That was still last night for me because I was up all night. So there was a stream earlier on this morning, but um, what is it? The war war game minis stream. I can't
Don't know what you're talking about.
No clue.
Yeah. At any rate, that's what
Did
he was
you-
asking about. It.
So on a related to other streams note, did you see that there was a review? Well, it would be a
Yes.
review.
Yes. Oh,
of Horde Wars.
I know where you're going with this. The
But
Horde Wars
really,
review?
the reviewer had never read the book or looked at the cover.
I knew that right away.
It was a special time, but
boy.
Joel Peterson did a really good job, complete DM, at just kind of breaking down the failure of trust when you trust AI to do your work for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Because AI hallucinated a whole game that I definitely did not write.
I mean, it sounded like it'd be an interesting game if you were trying to do a combat zombie game or something, where it's
Right.
all you're doing is fighting zombies, but
When did this
not
come
this
out?
is not Walking Dead. Well, I'll tell you who it was. I don't want to give him any.
Yeah,
life, but
no,
I'll
that's
tell
fine.
you-
Tell me
I'll-
later.
Yeah, you know the name.
I?
Suffice it to
Or
say,
just
yes.
check out the complete
Or double
DM
double
video.
D double D. Also
D did one as
it.
well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. There was several people. I'm sure Ryan from Nerd Cognito did it as well.
Oh, was it someone who uses a lot of AI all the time, and his camera's kind of like black and white a lot?
Well, it is more recently. That's tough.
Yeah. Okay, I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
you
got
know who I'm talking
I got.
about.
Yep, sure do.
I don't want to just
Nope.
open the door.
Nope,
on it.
not even gonna go look.
Yep.
I don't want to lose those brain cells.
So reviewers will do that. Well, this particular one is just not even close.
Yeah.
It was like not even the same game, and I knew immediately. It was like literally analyzing a video game is where it was what it got hallucinated on.
Yes.
So-
It hallucinated a video game, and even if you'd have looked at the cover, you'd know something had gone wrong. If
Yeah.
that's all the research you did.
Yeah.
Not even that level happened.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
anyway, that was really funny.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna ask you about that off the air, but since you mentioned it, I was like, yep, we'll talk about it. Yeah, don't trust AI.
Mhm.
Always double check. So, but at any rate, well, Todd, I really appreciate you joining us, and we are looking forward to seeing you at CNY. I think
Yeah,
Dan's going to
I'm
see you
excited for
twice. He's going to be there at North Texas as well. So, I can't do 2 weekends in a row. My customers would kill me. But I will be up at CNY. It's gonna be
I'm
a
doing
long
2
drive.
weekends in a row because I'm not weak.
Uh-huh.
You should do 2 weekends in a row, Jeff. I actually have an extra ticket to North Texas.
You
I
buy-
do.
Speaking
I
of, I have
have
an
an extra
extra
badge.
bed there.
You have an extra bed at North
I
Texas?
do.
Okay. Like, so seriously, I
So if
have
you wanted to just
all you gotta do is fly to DFW,
Yeah. And I got to get there.
and there's a shuttle from the airport to the hotel.
Oh,
Yeah.
is there really? Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got 2 rooms this year, and there's just 3 of us, and they both have 2 beds. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
I also have a room, but it's a king bed. You can be the small spoon.
Well, you are like 6'13", right, or something
6'2".
like that. Yeah.
6'2".
Yeah.
Not that tall.
No, you're not too much taller than me.
But I mean, seriously, we should chat.
so if you wanted
zip
to,
down.
it could happen, Jeff.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah.
have to talk to my wife.
Is she still in chat? Jeanette, can
No,
Jeff come out to play?
She's working. She's at work
Oh.
right now.
Damn.
I went out and checked when I turned my camera off. I went out and looked to see if the truck was gone because I didn't hear her leave, but she had, because I know she was laughing upstairs, probably when you were harassing me.
When I roasted you, she
Yes.
congratulated me in chat. So
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Silent
So
strong relationship. That's right. If you ever
anyway,
hear my wife roast me, it's way.
I can't wait.
She's
She's not coming to CNY, is she?
no, she's not, because she doesn't think that she would have fun while I'm playing games and she's hanging out with a toddler in the hotel room all day. I told her that in a couple years, when my daughter's a little bit older, I'll just bring her with and indoctrinate her into the hobby, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cam. Anything before you you bail on us?
No, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show again, and it was fun hearing about your new game.
Yeah. Great chat with you.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, I'm going to jump, guys.
Okay, we'll
Have a good
see,
night, Cam.
Cam. Dan,
Thanks.
anything else for Todd on the air?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to trying out Dropship in a couple weeks and getting the book, and I'm excited to have a new sci-fi game to play, because, like I said at the start, most of the ones haven't really clicked with me. So,
Yeah.
But this one sounds pretty great, because if I can basically play Halo or Starship Troopers, like that's what I want out of a sci-fi TTRPG.
Yes, you can do that.
That sounds glorious.
Yep. Oh, I'm looking forward to a new experience too. The D12 system and all that is
Yeah.
yeah. So, and we already covered that on the Horde Wars topic about why you went with a D12, but
Because it's the best die and it rolls so good.
it's so neglected and ostracized.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Don't
because
jump.
it makes for mathematically more exciting combat. You crit more, you have to do less math, which is a good thing. And also, we were able to embed penalties into the dice rather than making it an additional step. So if you're like starving and dehydrated, you're maybe rolling a D10 or a D8 instead of a D12 for your different actions,
Right.
rather than stopping and rolling twice and taking the lower, or doing a negative number applied to your modifier or whatever it might be. Those are all things that slow down the game. And when you add more and more and more of those things, that's why a lot of systems are slow. It's because they're bloated with rules that add steps.
And combat slows down, and then it gets boring, and you have people sitting there on their phones while everybody's playing, and you know, while one person is doing their thing, and then they kind of just like,
Yeah, you do that, that'll get your team killed in Horde Wars or in Dropship.
which is good.
'Cause pretty
Yeah.
much every character can in some way act off turn. And if you're not paying attention, that could get you guys killed.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and roll the credits if you want to stick around for just a couple minutes afterwards, and we'll
Sure.
wrap up and talk offline. But everybody else, thanks. Here's one last comment. And less math equal more time actually gaming. Yep, that's true.
Exactly.
All righty, guys. Have a great night. Tune in tomorrow for we are streaming, right? Tomorrow?
Hyperborea. Yep.
Hyperborea.
Yep.
It will be on this channel. It'll be on Dan's channel, his new channel.
I have my new channel.
Yeah, your new
There
channel.
we go.
And also going to be on Erudite DMs.
Mhm.
So the three of us, we're going to be streaming it. Lord Mattias will be there. He's trying to follow the algorithm, so he doesn't want to poison his channel with live streams. But that's okay. We don't blame him.
I'm just going to make nerdy videos. I don't care about the algorithm. I have a job.
I don't either. All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night, all.
We'll see you.
Good night.